What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. Okay, these two are hilarious and entertaining in every way. You can't help but be captivated by Mick Foley and The Rock's segments in late 1999. They were unlike anyone else in the WWF at this point. No tag team partners were so damn different. Like, each one of them was on the other side of the spectrum. The Rock was the take no BS guy who manages to insult his opponents with nursery rhymes, that's what Austin calls them, on a weekly basis. He wears Versace, holds himself to a classy status. As for Mankind, he wasn't a deranged individual anymore. Foley began to open up to the fans and he began to flesh out his comedic side. He wore clothes from the Salvation Army. I remember he said this himself in a segment. A 10-cent shirt, The Rock called it that. Worn out shoes, a bunch of stuff. Like, that's how different both men were. The Rock was the guy who spends money on the clothes, while Foley, we don't even know what the hell he spends his money on. Anyways, in this video, I cover the entertaining run The Rock and Mick Foley had from August of 1999 to December of 1999. Now, before this video starts, make sure you like it if you enjoy it. If this video gets 2K likes, I'll make that Kurt Angle and Booker T thing. I know a lot of you guys really want it, and I will definitely make it if this gets 2,000 likes. It might be a lot to ask, but I feel like we could get there. I don't know. Anyways, let's get into it. Now, as you may know, these two had a very heated feud, and watching this, it's hard to believe these two actually teamed up together. If you want to check out the video I made on the Extraordinary program, here it is. I made it back in January, and I cover all the basics in the... I go in depth too. So yeah, if you want it and you've never seen it before, there it is. Now, The Rock and Mankind at this point, they were the most popular baby faces in the entire WWF. Stone Cold was going on hiatus to repair his neck, I believe, and so these two along with Triple H were going to lead the company. Mick Foley was nearing the end of his wrestling career. The Rock was only 27 at this point, which is ridiculous to think about. And Triple H, he was starting to become the dastardly heel, and I will cover that eventually, but for right now, let's focus on Rock and Sock. So overall, the WWF was in very good hands despite the injuries to Stone Cold and The Undertaker. I don't know exactly why they paired these two up. I guess they wanted a sequel to Austin and HBK, Foley himself and Austin, I'm not sure. Maybe they saw how much chemistry these two had off the air. As for how this duo formed, well, here it is. On the August 30th, 1999 episode of Raw, The Rock spoke about the events of SmackDown. Shawn Michaels super kicked him. Mankind wanted a title shot, and Shane McMahon decided to book Rocky in a matchup against The Undertaker. That match didn't happen. Instead, Big Show faced The Rock. The Rock was on the receiving end of a Big Show chokeslam through the announce table, and he lost the Falls Count Anywhere match. Triple H came out and he wanted a piece of The Rock. Mankind tried to make a save, but he failed, and it was a mess, but in a good way. You know, Attitude Era, run-ins, brawls, that kind of stuff. Later that night, The Rock once again appeared. He mocked Big Show like he always does. He issued a challenge to both men, a handicap match. All of a sudden, Mankind interrupted. Foley liked Rocky's comments towards both those men, but he believed the Great One didn't need to go out there alone. Foley mentioned how Rock dislikes him, and he's disliked him too since their feud. He said that the people want Mankind as The Rock's partner. The people need Mankind as The Rock's partner. And tonight, in Massachusetts, Mankind would like to be The Rock's partner. He took a page, or pages out of... You know, he took the entire book. He wanted to be the people's partner, basically. He wanted it to be Mankind and The Rock together with the millions and millions of Rock's fans and the dozens and dozens of Mankind's fans to stand side by side. The crowd at this point was loud as hell. The fans began chanting, Rocky, Rocky. And there was doubts over whether or not these two would team up because of their brutal past. The Rock, however, accepted Foley's offer. But he demanded that Mankind not steal The Rock's catchphrases. So the challenge has been made. Mick continued to break rule number 1, which was not to steal Rock's catchphrases. Later that night, Foley began strategizing, and Rock wasn't really fond of Mick trying to deliver a people's elbow. He wanted Mankind to just stay out of his way and do the sock gimmick when he needs him to. Now the match... it was for the WWF Tag Team Championships. I gotta mention it. I don't think I did previously. As for the match, there were some scares about Mankind, and The Rock managed to neutralize the hell out of the Big Show. The Rock gave Foley the nod, you know, you could do it with me, and they both performed the People's Elbow. 1, 2, 3, yes! They got it. The Undertaker left, hence Big Show being left alone and getting his ass beat. So now they were tag team champions, right? Seeing as he had just won the title, Mankind came out on the September 2nd, 1999 episode of SmackDown to discuss that title win. So Foley's speaking about playing some electronic football game 20 years ago, his mom catching him naked or something, and it wasn't like that. He then called out Shane McMahon, citing his loss to him being the most embarrassing moment of the past 20 years. Not being caught naked. Mankind continued to take pages out of The Rock's book, and he then introduced the most electrifying man. The fans began chanting, Rocky, Rocky, and once again, it was loud as hell. The Rock said that Mankind may be his tag team partner, but they'll never be friends. He even called Foley the craziest SOB he's ever seen. Mankind had mentioned Rock's testicles or something like that previously, and Rock demanded that Foley never bring that into discussion ever again. all of a sudden, the boy wonder, the ninth wonder of the world, and the game came out. Shane McMahon congratulated both men, and seeing as he wanted a challenger for Triple H's WWF Championship, he booked both men in a matchup, and if they don't compete against one another, they'll be suspended for 6 months. Later that night, they fought one another, and this was a way of softening the competition for Triple H. That match didn't end without controversy, though, as the game himself interfered, and he went after his own competitors. The plan backfired, and Shane booked himself and Triple H in a tag team match for the titles. Except that didn't happen. Why? Well, it wasn't Shane who booked himself in that match, it was his mother who booked him in the title match against those two. Funnily enough, it was Triple H who actually took the pin during the match. Shane got his ass beat, Mr. Ass interfered, and The Rock and Mankind lived to fight another day. There was no rest for the weary, though, as on that week's Raw, The Rock and Mankind defended the gold against a team of X-Pac and Kane. Before the match, The Rock cut a very electrifying promo. He mocked Kane, stating that he shoots fire out of his ass. He made fun of Kane's voice, and he told him to shove that voice box that he has up his ass. Mankind spoke to the dozens and dozens of his Ivy League fans in Harvard. By the way, they weren't in Harvard, they were in Hartford. As for X-Pac, he was nowhere to be found. Just as Kane and The Rock were going to go at it, the little tyrant Triple H came out. He took X-Pac's spot, and the match went on normally, but then the bad chemistry and Triple H's sledgehammer shot is what cost him the match. Triple H took out the competition once again after the match, and that's a whole other story, but if you really want something about it, check out this video. Later that night, after the Big Show destroyed Val Venus for mocking the size of his ding-dong, he and The Undertaker issued a rematch for the titles. They wanted a freaking buried alive match on SmackDown. Not a pay-per-view, but SmackDown. The Rock mocked Big Show and Mickey Mouse tattoos. And he accepted the challenge. He was once again brutally entertaining. As for Mankind, he showed off his deranged side. He mocked Big Show too, and the duo were ready for their matchup. As for the bouts, one of the craziest Attitude Era matches ever. There was a bunch of run-ins, Triple H brawling with Kane, and those two weren't even in the match. Big Show throwing Mankind into the grave and bouncing in the process. And by the way, it took Big Show one fell swoop to throw Mankind into the grave. He just threw him, he bounced, and he fell into the grave. Oh, what can I say? Oh man, it was crazy. Triple H literally burying the competition. It was madness. And being so indulged in this, I swear to God, I forgot about this. I forgot about the fact that Stone Cold hopped out of the ambulance and gave Triple H a can of whoop-ass. And not only that, but he rammed a freaking truck into the ambulance containing Triple H. Seriously, this is probably my go-to if I just want to watch something fun. Like, it's 20 minutes of craziness unfolding, that's it. Anyways, Rock and Sock focused on their singles careers for a short time period. They lost the titles in the Buried Alive match. And there were still tag team partners in a way, but the WWF title was being contested at Unforgiven. So they were focusing on that. Foley continued to emulate Rock, and once again, they were paired up together in a matchup. Despite, focusing on their singles careers, they were set to face the Unholy Alliance, Big Show, and The Undertaker on Raw. But let me explain how they got to that point. On the September 20th episode of Raw's War, Rock struggled to shut up a lady. He sang a remixed version of an Elvis song to her, and Rocky, he just had moments during this segment where he just wanted to insult the lady, but he just couldn't. He had too much respect for the older people, I guess. As for Mankind, he was assaulted by the Ministry, or wherever the hell they were at this point. The Rock made the save, and Michael Cole later on asked Foley about this. His response, know your mouth and shut your roll. He cut a Rock-esque promo and he issued a challenge to both The Big Show and The Undertaker. Rocky, he wasn't pleased with the Unholy Alliance too. He was also annoyed by Michael Cole. He was so annoyed by him that he put a shirt over his head. The Rock trashed The Undertaker, and he also said that he ridiculed him in his sleep.
Rudy Poo, Candy, lay the smack it down on him, Candy. No.
He was demanding Michael Cole keep his head still, and once again, outstanding stuff. Mankind then took the shirt after the interview. Why? Well, he believed things were platonic between he and The Rock, and Michael Cole's a weirdo. Anyways, The Undertaker accepted the challenge, but it's under his terms. It was a Dark Side Rules match. By the way, is that what Dolph Ziggler's match is going to be at Extreme Rules? As for the rules of that match, first of all, The Rock didn't wear his ring gear. He believed that this Dark Side Rules thing involves Midian, an idiot with Mickey Mouse tattoos, and a 57-pound head. And it involves Viscera, a big fat-ass fat Albert. He offered a rebuttal to Taker's statements regarding Rock having TV writers. He demanded The Undertaker come down here so he could send his ass directly into the SmackDown hotel. Seriously, in my opinion, Rock really started to heat up even more around this time. I don't know if it's because I'm watching these promos again and realizing maybe he was at his peak. Not sure, but it was electrifying. Every week in 99, he just came out there and gave the best promo of the night. I can't give you every great Rock promo. I could give you every great CM Punk promo. I could give you every great John Cena promo, but I can't give you a Rock one. There's too many of them. You can't even choose one to say that's the best. As for the Dark Side Rules match, Taker sits on commentary and Mideon and Viscera are added to the match. Kane then got involved and he went against his brother once again. Taker believed Kane was in on the plan, but that wasn't the case. Mideon took a rock bottom in the people's elbow, and so now we got new tag team champions once again. As for their title reign, for some reason the New Age Outlaws reunited and beat Rock and Sock for the titles on that week's SmackDown. There was an accident on Mankind's part, his knee buckled, and so he bumped into the Rock, who was on the ropes. Billy Gunn then hit the Famouser and they were the new champions. It wasn't until a month later that we'd know why these two were reunited. After failing to win the title during the six-pack challenge and fighting with The Rock during the match, Mankind was out to make good for his mistakes the previous night. He was so excited for this party that he even invited Stone Cold Steve Austin. What this showed everyone was that Mankind really held his relationship with The Rock to a very high regard. Okay, here it is. On the September 27th, 1999 episode of Raw's War, Mankind asked for The Rock to come out to the ring for this celebration. By the way, I believe this was the first time The Rock debuted the If You Smell song, the 2001 one when he was the face of the company. Like, over the last couple of weeks, it evolved from Do You Smell to this one. There were small tweaks here and there over the last 4 weeks, but this is the final version. Now, as you may know, who am I kidding? Everyone knows this segment. You know, This Is Your Life. Let's just cover it right now. So The Rock said that he didn't need any apologies, right? He said that he has himself to blame, and since he doesn't have time, he wants to know what Mankind has for him right now. Well, you know what it was? It was, This Is Your Life. A bunch of balloons and confetti fell from the rafters, and he started off the segment by bringing out The Rock's 6th grade home economic teacher. Oh man, I had this Raw DVD and I've seen this segment a million times as a kid. The Rock certainly wasn't happy to see her. Fully cited her as the first one who truly smelled what The Rock is cooking. He stopped her dead in her tracks before greeting her. He gave us a flashback to 6th grade and how he wanted to make pancakes all year long, and she never let him make pancakes. Instead, she wanted chocolate chip cookies,
Blueberry muffins.
and then right before summer vacation, she finally let him make some pancakes. Except that didn't happen. Why? Well, she was out of Aunt Jemima. Rock then asked her if she likes to cook, and he asked if she knows her roles, before telling her to know her role and shut her mouth, and take a little walk down Know Your Role Boulevard, hang that right on Jabroni Drive, and then proceed to check her Aunt Jemima no pancake heaven ass directly into the SmackDown hotel. Mankind, though he was polite, you know, he's opening the roast and stuff. And this was only the beginning. The next person to come out, well, this time it was Rock's old football coach. He came out to Lex Luger's favorite song, I'll Be a Hero. And Rock wasn't happy to see him too. He started off the conversation casually, asking him about the last game of the season, and how he gave a QB a boot and a DDT, opting not to go for a high five after sacking him. He mentioned how the damn coach made him run sprints around the stadium in front of his fans. He asked if that whistle was the same one the coach used during that game. It was. And The Rock said that he wanted to do something special with that whistle. He wanted to take that whistle, shine it up real nice, and stick it straight up his candy ass.
Hit the bricks, you jerk.
The Rock grew impatient with this bull crap, that's what he called it, and Mankind wanted to show them millions and millions. Once again, Rock stopped him there, like, that's gimmick infringement, you're not supposed to do that. Rocky chants intensified, and he finished the segment. At this point, Mankind wanted to show the sensitive side of The Rock, so he brought out Rocky's high school sweetheart. She was happy to see him. Rocky, once again, not so much. He started off the convo nicely. He mentioned how he used to kiss her and stuff like that before mentioning second base. Apparently, every time she'd tell him to go for second base, she cut him off. You tell me go for second base and you're cutting me off. Despite this, Rock wasn't the type to hold a grudge. He thought that since he was the great one, now's the time to serve that pie. Rock said that he loves pie, but she could
Poontang your ass on out of here.
There was still someone under that blanket, though, and The Rock wasn't satisfied. He wasn't satisfied about this. Mankind said that he had no idea that these people were being many things. He just wanted to make this nice special for The Rock, and now it was time to open up presents. When the Great One opened one of those gifts, it was a shirt that said Rock and Sock Connection. I believe this was the first time that name was mentioned. Foley even gifted the Great One Mr. Rocco. As for the final gift, well, it was Yurple. Freaking Yurple, that same person Vince got rid of a year earlier. Jerry Lawler was begging for him to lay the smacking down on her, and The Rock asked for her name and he shut her up. You know, what is your name? It doesn't matter. Mankind was suddenly defensive, telling Rock to stop making this a bad night. He then called for Yurple to give a birthday sing-along to The Rock. They even brought out a cake, and then this is the best part. So The Rock's appreciative of these things, but one thing that Mick Foley got wrong was the fact that Rock's birthday wasn't on that night. It was May 2nd. The fact that this is the highest segment in history is astonishing. I believe it's number 1 or number 2. I'm not sure if it's that Austin and Undertaker main event, I forgot, but this is definitely number 1 or 2. It's a ridiculously entertaining segment. Some say it dragged and it's overrated, but when you have The Rock in there, well, for me, I can't get bored, especially Rock of 1999. And then you add Mick Foley to the mix, that's a 200% chance of me watching it. So yeah, this segment, some say it's overrated, and I get it because WWE mentioned it a lot. It was goofy as hell, and The Rock was he just took down each one of those people from the past. I wasn't entertained. But then all of a sudden, on the October 4th episode, he believed they should break up the connection. Rock was saying yes, absolutely, and stuff like that, except he wasn't talking to Mick Foley. He was speaking on the phone. Later that night, Mankind was once again up to something. When The Rock came out, he wanted to know what's up. You know what it was? Well, Mankind lost Rocco and he lost The Rock's jacket. And now he just wants to break up The Rock and Sock connection. The fans certainly didn't want them to split. Just as Rock was about to say something about that, Foley stopped him there and said that he's been thinking and pondering. He said that he wants to dedicate his life to this tag team, and he didn't want to go down in history as a 3-time WWF champion. He didn't want to go down as the hardcore legend. He didn't want to go down as the guy who was in Hell in a Cell. He wanted to be known from here on as one half of the greatest tag teams, The Rock and Sock connection. Foley compared this to Test and Stephanie getting married, and there's the $1 million picture. Whoa, what are you talking about? Now, Rock was confused. Mankind tried explaining things, but before he did, Rock said he could care less about Mankind giving him pie. Mankind said that he didn't want to be like the other teams, and he wanted to be like the 3 Musketeers, all for one and one for all. Rock said he could just take Foley, Rocco, Sacco, the 3 Musketeers, Jabroni, Maloney, or something like that, and just take one sword, shine it up real nice, and stick it straight up. Well, that didn't get a conclusion. Why? Because the loudmouth Chris Jericho interrupted. Y2J ridiculed both men, and he called Rock a woman for how he is. Rock, he wasn't pleased with Y2J's comments. He put him in his place. He asked Jericho if he thinks he's impressive. You were down south beating some guy named Juventud. Oh, so that's where it came from. Jericho rage quit after another minute of Rock's promo, and the Great One challenged him to a matchup. As The Rock was delivering one of these quotes, Mankind for the 100th time got involved. If yes, he gets involved in Rocky he gets annoyed. Following this, The Rock and Sock slowly began to drift apart. Mankind was on the receiving end of a rock bottom on that week's SmackDown, and this was because Foley accidentally blasted Rock with a chair beforehand. Since they had these issues between one another, he gave Rock an ultimatum. Either put up or shut up. He was ready to split the group, but he just wanted to know if The Rock still wants this team to continue, because he has no problem going either way. The Great One, though, he didn't give a damn about how Foley feels about The Rock and Sock. Tensions were really high at this point, and Mick Foley wanted to cool things down, though. So he asked Vince for a tag team title match against the Outlaws. Once he told Rock that Vince ordered them to team up, he didn't, by the way, it was Foley's idea. The Rock wanted this to be the last time ever the duo team up. Guess what? It wasn't the last time. Why? Well, they won tag team titles. The Rock, though, seemed a bit disappointed at the result, and he believed it was the last time they were ever going to team up, but that wasn't the case. Things, though, would take a turn for the worse. On the October 18th, 1999 episode of Raw's War, Mick Foley handed The Rock a pre-copy of his book. Rock was thankful for the gift, but that wasn't it. Rocco was back. 2. Later that night, Al Snow found that book right in the trash. He went up to Foley and he told him. Foley was visibly disappointed, as this was his life's work. He spent so many years making this book, only for someone to just look at it and throw it in the trash. He confronted Rock about this, and the Great One was oblivious. He was oblivious to this matter. Foley went crazy, shouting at The Rock it's his life's work, he has a reason to be mad. Mankind called Rock a egotistical, self-centered SOB. He let The Rock know that it's it. No more Rock and Sock connection. Rock wasn't aware of what's going on. Anyways, after their tag team match later that night, they were going to be no more. As for that match, Mick Foley sat on the steps with his back against the action going on in the ring. The Hollies managed to beat The Rock and win the titles, and Foley left. On that week's SmackDown, The Rock and Mankind faced off with the winner earning the right to face the WWF champion. The two fought back and forth, and it was Val Venis who caused the DQ. He blasted Mankind with his own book, and The Rock, however, hit the rock bottom on him though. So yeah. Now that The Rock and Sock was no more, Mankind started to team up with Al Snow. They were vibing, just having fun, and looking back, this program relegated Foley to mid-card status. Val Venis, he continued to annoy Foley. He set his books on fire. As for The Rock, he was focused on winning back the WWF title. Back to Mankind. He captured tag team gold with Al Snow, and I don't recall much of this. I watched a bunch of Attitude Era stuff, but yeah, I don't remember much of this. I do know they teamed up, but I kind of forgot they won the titles. Anyways, Mankind began searching for Val Venis. He went to a strip club. He went to another place, and he began enjoying himself. After walking out of that place, he found out that his car was getting towed. Val, though, he would attack Al Snow, and it was revealed that he didn't leave the building on that night. The Godfather, apparently his ladies, lied to Foley, And so, Val Venus managed to one-up the hardcore legend. Anyways, Foley and Al lost the titles to the Outlaws on that week's Raw, and slowly Al Snow began a heel turn. Mankind ended the feud with Val on top, and as for how Al turned heel, well, first of all, let me explain things. The Rock confronted Mick after Al said something about him, like under his breath. They were just passing by a hallway. Al said something, and The Rock stopped him there. He revealed that he didn't throw the book in the garbage, and he was still pissed with Mankind. He was disappointed in the fact that Mankind believed he was the one who did it. As for Al, well...
Who are you? What, do you work for the building?
He didn't know who the hell that man was. He asked if Al works for the building, and this didn't sit well with him. He was jealous of the fact that Mankind gets a better reception from the crowd with The Rock than with him, and plus he didn't like the jokes Mick made about him in the book. Mankind believed The Rock, and he made the safe later that night. So now, The Rock and Sock were back. Al Snow was so damn jealous at this point, and he stood no chance against him. Like, this is The Rock we're talking about. You're just some guy who works in the building. At least that's what The Rock thought. The Great One believed it was not befitting to team up with Al. Like, he didn't even call him Al Snow. He just called him Al. Like, this guy, Al.
Al? Is this Jabroni's name?
Al Snow then revealed he was the one who threw Mankind's book in the trash, and he wasn't pleased with Foley's jokes towards him in that book. Rock and Sock once again teamed up to face the Outlaws for the titles at Armageddon, in a losing effort after Al Snow got involved. The duo were on the brink of capturing the titles, but he got involved. Rock and Sock continued to team up together, and they brought us this moment. Oh my god, The Rock was absolutely vicious on the mic. As for that Al Snow thing, well, it would come to a head when he went one-on-one with the Great One in a Brahma bull rope match. The Rock obviously won, but not before Road Dogg got involved. But wait, that wasn't what happened. You know what happened? Well, Road Dogg got involved, and The Rock managed to kick out. I was about to bounce back and wrap it up, but Billy Gunn then got involved, and it was Al Snow who was victorious. Rock, however, got his win back on that week's SmackDown inside the steel cage. Now, this is where I'm going to end the video. Why? Well, the next one we're going to focus on Foley and Triple H's feud. So, I don't think it's fitting of me to continue beyond this point. For the Foley thing, we're going to focus on how he got fired, the Royal Rumble match. I'll even do a match analysis if you guys really want that for that one and the No Way Out one. It's not the next video necessarily, but yeah, the feud that put Triple H, like, on The Rock's level in my opinion. So yeah, not next video necessarily, but the sequel to this will be that. Overall, the Rock and Sock connection was a really entertaining duo that managed to give us so many epic segments, entertaining moments in the ring, hilarious stuff, everything. Like, this team, like, I wish they managed to team up again. It's such a shame that they lasted for only 4 months. Obviously, they reunited in 2004 and stuff like that, but that one, I already made a video on it, except it's not really on the channel at the moment, you know, Evolution. If you want a short look at that one, check out this Randy Orton video. I cover it there. Rock and Sock, one of my favorite tag teams ever. They were so damn entertaining, and the fact that they won like 4 tag team titles is ridiculous. I thought they won 2 before making this video. That's it for this video. Make sure you hit a double arm DDT on the like button, and perhaps a rock bottom on the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.